Well, Lee, that was cement of the year. It's funny, on the day that Mike Ashley announced that the club was no longer for sale, that Newcastle should be humiliated by Liverpool. But I think it just shows how far, how low Newcastle United's slumped under since Mike Ashley took over, and he's got to spend some money for his football club in the January transfer market. I noticed you spoke to Joe, and he's talking about transfers.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to spend. He needs to be backed, and it's not players who will be ready in 2 or 3 years. Newcastle United need players now. Yeah. They need experience now, and they need strength and depth now, because yesterday was the example that this squad's, we've always known it was paper thin. I mean, it's been
Keegan did warn them.
It's been a paper thin squad since Glenn Ryder was there. What I mean? The team, they haven't really reinvested, I don't think, since Sir Bobby Robson's time when they got.
Glenn always says he bought one player, Martins. The board bought Damien Duff, which he didn't complain about, and Sobieski came in on a free. But I mean, speaking to Glenn, I remember Newcastle beating Liverpool when Glenn was manager. When Sir Bobby was manager, beating them on merit. But yesterday, I mean, it was embarrassing. It was humiliating. I mean, it could have been 7-0 at half time.
It could. I mean, final score, could have been 15 or 16. Yeah. I know every single chance wasn't going to go in, but some of them chances given kept out in the first half. They were a whisker away, and then I think Nzobia kicked one off the line as well. It was just a total onslaught, but it just shows you the gap now between the other teams in the top four, because it is there. I mean, earlier this year, I think Man United turned up and 2-5. That's the second 5-1 of this year, isn't it? And Arsenal 3-0 at their place earlier in the season, and while Man United, we drew there in August, didn't we? But if you want to compete with the big guns now, unfortunately you've got to get your hand in your pocket, really.
There's Joe. I mean, there's Joe there looking bemused. He was blaming injuries yesterday. Last week against Wigan, he was blaming the referee. I don't think that's what a Newcastle United manager should be doing. We mentioned Glenn there. I remember Glenn ringing me on New Year's Day a couple of years ago. He said, Sobieski's just cried off. I've got 10 players. And they went out and drew 2 apiece for Man United. It's part and parcel of football. It's up to Joe to come up with the answers instead of just making excuses all the time. Speaking of excuses, I mean, I've got to say, over the past few years, Newcastle players have been magnificent. Coming out when they've lost, Chelsea, when we've been beaten 5-0 and all that, they're always there. I mean, they can't get past us at Chelsea. But yesterday I noticed you've only got one interview with a player, and that was David Edgar. The rest weren't so keen, and understandably so.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways I can understand that. After that, then the last thing you want to do is come out and explain yourself. Unfortunately, it's part of a modern footballer's duty.
Yeah, but it made life harder for you, because that's
more of a test for the job, I think. So, all in all, just disappointing day. Let's get 2008 out of the way and bring on Hull City in the FA Cup.
Well, yeah, FA Cup. We're going to be okay because Joe thinks we can win it.